In this video, we'll be showing you how to install our 4-passenger Ranger roof audio system for select 2018 and newer Polaris Rangers. Welcome back, guys. I'm Eric, and today we'll get started by removing the factory Polaris roof. Now on our Ranger, we have the North Star Edition, so some of the features may be different on your model, but all the installation steps will be the same. Now we'll get started by disconnecting the power from our battery using a 13mm socket. Next, we'll start by removing the rear headliner in the vehicle. Detach 2 push pins, then 5 screws using a T25 Torx, and 4 larger screws using a T40 Torx. Once that's done, you can remove the rear section of the headliner. Now we'll move to the front of the vehicle and remove the 2 T25 Torx holding the cabin light in place and disconnect the harness. Now let's remove the 2 screws over the rear view mirror using a T25 Torx along with the remaining 5 push pins. Once that's done, we can start by detaching the headliner and remove it from the Ranger. Now let's remove the power terminal block, as this will not be needed once we install the audio roof. If you have existing aftermarket accessories plugged in, you'll want to relocate them to the under hood terminal block. To get started, unplug the power window harnesses. Next, remove all the harness clips attached to the roof using a plastic pry tool. Now once that's done, remove the 4 bolts holding the power terminal block down using a T40 Torx. Next, remove the Christmas tree zip ties using a plastic pry tool. Once that's done, we're ready to unplug the main terminal block harness. Lift up on the yellow safety latch and pull it out. On our Ranger, we had a hidden zip tie behind the seatbelt bracket. Now we also had to completely remove the Christmas tree zip ties to route the harness around the seatbelt bracket. On your Ranger, you might also have to remove the wiring completely from the distribution block to get it around the seatbelt bracket. Now you're ready to detach the factory roof. Start by removing 8 T27 bolts in the middle of the vehicle that hold the front and rear roofs together. Next, remove the 2 top-mounted bolts using a T40 Torx that hold the roof down in the front, and 4 T40 Torx in the rear. To remove the rear roof, pull up on the back side, then push forward to unlatch the front and middle plastic clamps holding it all in place. Detach the rear section, then move to the inside of the cabin to remove the front section. Now we're ready to prep the rear section of the audio roof. Remove the 2 outer bolts designed for transportation using a T30 Torx. Now you're ready to place the rear roof assembly on top of the vehicle. Now this is going to be a 2-man job, so be careful not to drag the roof across to prevent any damage. Now we're ready to mount the middle roof brackets. These are designed to hold the front and rear section of the roof together. The top of the bracket attaches to the ROPS, or the rollover protection system, and the base of the bracket attaches to the front and rear roof. The short screws are used to secure the base to the roof, and the long screws are used to clamp the top of the bracket to the ROPS. To get started, you'll slide the 3 bracket bases between the roof and the ROPS. Loosely fit the shorter screws into the roof. Now these will need to be loose until the entire roof assembly is in place. Next, install the top bracket using the longer screws to secure it in place. Once again, these will need to remain loose until the entire assembly is in place. Now we've provided 2 long registration bolts and a ball end Allen to help align the roof to the ROPS. These go through the existing holes in the rear crossbar to loosely align the roof assembly at this time. Now we're ready to install the standoffs on the rear of our roof. The longer standoffs and the bolts are inserted from the top and secured underneath using a washer and nylon locking nut. These also need to remain loose until the entire roof assembly is in place. Now we're ready to prep the front section of our audio roof. Remove 1 inner bolt designed for transportation using a T30 Torx. Now you're ready to place the roof assembly on top of the vehicle. Now, this is going to be a 2-man job, but before you completely move it into place, you'll need to make the pass-through wiring connections between the front and the rear roof assemblies. The passenger side has 1 positive and 2 audio pass-through connections. The audio pass-through connections can attach to either connector because they're wired in parallel. The driver's side has 1 negative and 1 audio pass-through connection. All right, now we're ready to install our rubber bushings to the middle brackets located on each side of the roof. These get sandwiched between the clamp and the roof. Starting with the driver's side, insert the rubber bushing with the small end facing upward. The standoffs and bolt are inserted from the top of the roof and secured on the bottom using a washer and nylon locking nut. Once that's done, you can secure the middle using a T27 and finish off the rubber isolator on the passenger side. Do not tighten these completely until the entire assembly is in place. Now we're ready to install the front roof mounting plates. Slide the tab into the ROPS and secure the 2 bolts using a T25 Torx. To secure the nuts, a second person may need to push down on the roof from the outside. Now please note, there is a left and a right-hand sided plate. Now we're ready to drill our wiring access hole. Now we provided a hole saw and rubber grommet in the kit for this process. To get started, you'll need to move the carpet out of the way if your Ranger is equipped. Using the provided hole saw, drill a hole in between the driver and passenger seats through the plastic firewall. Now be careful to stop the drill once the hole is cut to avoid puncturing the air intake ducts directly underneath. Now we're ready to route our wiring harness through the battery compartment, up through the hole we just drilled, and avoid any moving parts. Route the harness under the air intake ducts in the engine compartment. Then lift the rear bed of the Ranger and route the harness back through the hole. Pull all your harness slack into the cabin and secure the rubber grommet in place. We'll leave the terminal side of the harness in the battery compartment for connection later. Now we're ready to route the roof's power cables. Remember, positive to passenger. We'll route the positive red harness toward the passenger door behind the rear seat. In our Ranger, we routed it behind the cabin carpet. The negative or black side will go toward the driver's door. Once they're in place, you can route the cable in the back of the ROPS and plug them into the roof assembly. We've included additional harnesses for adding a subwoofer and light bar to your system in the future. The optional light bar harness connects on top of the roof by removing the waterproof plug. For specifications on light bar fitment, please refer to our website compatibility chart. For the optional subwoofer, we recommend installing the sub harness now to prevent future disassembly. Plug the harness into the connector on the rear passenger side. Next, route the harness through the corner opening and down the edge of the ROPS. We'll tuck the harness away behind the passenger seat for installation later. Secure the harness in place using the provided Christmas tree zip ties. On our Ranger, we have a rubber sleeve on the driver's side that will run our harness through and secure it on top and bottom using zip ties. Now we're ready to install the rear cap of the audio roof. Now keep in mind, this will be a two-man job. To get started, remove the two long registration bolts used to position the roof into place. Position the rear cap into place with the mounting tabs aligned with the registration holes we removed earlier. Once the cap is in place, position the two registration screws back in place. You may need your second helper to adjust the rear cap in place. Once you're done, repeat the process on the other side. Next, install the mounting brackets with the short tab located on the top. Use a 13mm socket with a swivel extension to secure the bracket in place. Once you're done, repeat the process on the other side. Now that we have our roof assembly totally in place, let's tighten up all the screws and brackets. Now in the middle brackets, make sure that you alternate your bolt pattern to prevent over-tightening one side. Finally, we're ready to tighten the front brackets and reconnect our window harnesses to the side of our new audio roof. Now you're ready to make your battery connections. Attach the positive and negative cables to the battery using the provided nuts. Red connects to positive and black to negative. All right guys, now we're ready to test our new Ranger roof audio. On the overhead roof, toggle the main power and accent light switches on to make sure the speakers are working properly. To operate the front powered windows, the main power on the roof must be toggled on. Now please note to switch the power off when completing your trail run. Leaving the main power on can drain your battery. As you can see, that installation was pretty straightforward. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact our technical support at 1-800-669-9899 or through live chat at the bottom of our website at rockfordfosgate.com. And we'll see you in the next video.